All right, guys. So with the Alabama-Auburn game coming up, one of the things that I am hoping, I'm praying to finally see is a more consistent pattern with this football team, right? Can we finally develop a pattern like we did against Georgia in the second half, right? Where we play like crap for the first three games of the regular season. Then the Georgia game came, second half of the game, and all of a sudden Alabama just took off from there. It was great adjustments by Golding. It was great adjustments by these players. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of our defensive players are starting, even to this day, even though Bama fans, including myself, have been preaching we should get a lot of our young guys to play, because a lot of those guys played on that national championship team that were either starters or reserve players. I'm sorry, rotational players. So can we finally develop some sort of consistency? And this is not just the defense. It's the offensive side of the ball and it's special teams. Can we finally develop some sort of consistency with our offensive line? Can the right side of the offensive line finally gel together? Because Emil Ekiyor has struggled. He has struggled, right? Chris Owens at center actually had a better game than he did last week, but Emil Ekiyor has struggled. Damian George was pretty much an up and down performance. There were moments where he was good and he looked like the future of Alabama at the University of Alabama at the right tackle position. And then there were times where, yeah, he looks like a freshman, like a redshirt freshman, like a backup right tackle, right? But Emil Ekiyor has been the story. Javon Cohen has also been a story because Javon Cohen had kind of one of his worst games, at least from a pass protecting perspective. Run blocking wise, he was phenomenal, but from a pass blocking perspective, he was not good. It was one of his worst games. But Emil Ekiyor has struggled all year round at the right side compared to what he was last year when he was one of our more important players in the interior at the right side of the position. Now, was that because of Landon Dickerson? Was that because of was that because of I forgot who was playing at right tackle. I think that might have been not Leatherwood, because Leatherwood was playing at the left side, and again Neal. No, it was it because of Evan Neal playing at right tackle? It's one of those particular areas that we're gonna that we just kind of don't know about. It's just speculation. But Emil Ekiyor has struggled compared to what he did last year, where you can make an argument he should have been an All-American guard. So again, can Alabama finally put it all together against a very difficult opponent like Auburn? Now, people look at Auburn's record and they'll sit up here and say, well, Auburn sucks. Auburn has a very good defense. They have a very, very good defense. They have a really good running attack with Tanks Bigsby. Their problem is their passing attack, right? They have a one-dimensional offense. They've really had a team that solely has to rely on their defense. And the defense it's not as good as we've seen as they were, like, say, back in 2019, where they did have an elite defense. But even then, they still won 9 games. They still won around 9 games in 2019, where again it was solely a team that had to rely heavily on their defense. So their defense, they're not as deep as they were before, but it's still good enough to give Alabama fits and problems. So the offensive line is something that I'm looking forward to, because Auburn does have a solid front. I am looking forward to see if Alabama can run the football a little bit more. Can we use Trey Sanders more a little bit there? But the most important thing is that, can we do something on the defensive side of the ball? Can we develop more consistency on the defensive side of the ball? Because one game, this defense will look out of this world. The next game, the defense looks average, and then another game, it looks bad. And it's just been an up and down it's been up and down with this defense for weeks. And it's pretty much been a guessing game of which Alabama team is going to show up. Are you going to get the good Alabama football team? Are you going to get a great Alabama football team? Or are you simply just going to get an average to maybe below average Alabama football team? We're going to find that out against Auburn, because Auburn, again, they're a difficult opponent. Again, forget about the record. You haven't won in Jordan. Alabama has not won in Jordan-Hare since 2015. That's 6 years ago, the last time that Alabama has won at Jordan-Hare. It's going to be full. It's going to be packed. It's Auburn's, and let's be honest, this is Auburn's national championship. Every year that they play Alabama, it's their national championship. They don't have to win. Again, they could simply win this game, lose the national title, and it wouldn't matter. It would still be considered a very successful season and a great season, and arguably an historic season, because they beat the University of Alabama. So they're going to play their best football, right? They're going to play their best football. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Harsin says the playbook, his best plays for this particular game, because Everyone knows, including the administration and boosters, know that this is the most important game of the season. For Alabama, we want to win this game, but we all know it's not the most important game. The most important game now is against Georgia. And even if we do somehow, some way, I'm going to knock on wood for this, even if we do lose to Auburn, we still have a chance of getting into the college football playoffs because there's always Georgia. There's always Georgia that can potentially get us in. But we don't want that to happen. We want Alabama to win this football game and see what happens against the University of Georgia. But in order for Bama fans to become a little bit more confident going into that game against the University of Georgia, they have to win this game. And not only win this game, they have to win this game very convincing fashion. You can't win by 7 points against Arkansas. You can't win by 6 points just like you did against LSU. You have to win this game in convincing fashion. Be more consistent on the defensive side of the ball. Put pressure on the quarterback. Stop the run. The secondary, please don't have miscues on defense. And can we develop a more consistent pattern with our offense? Running the football, protecting our quarterback. Can we just have potentially a complete game? We haven't had one all year round. Can we finally develop that? So a lot of things to kind of see going into the Auburn game, but we all know that none of us, hardly any of us, are confident that we're going to beat Georgia. If we can finally put that complete game together against our biggest rival, maybe, just maybe, we can finally start to develop some sort of confidence to beat the Georgia Bulldogs.